So Music Guy 20 is saying, congratulations. We all made it to immortality, but what is our purpose now until the end of time? Procreation isn't important anymore, and we have too much time on our hands. Now what? And this, I think, Armin, should be another episode. This should be a
Mm.
full episode. And I'm going to actually schedule it for this month.
Right. I mean, the idea of when you're immortal and you could basically manipulate your brain in ways to experience pleasure and happiness in ways that were your carbon based brain was even couldn't even imagine existing. The idea of not having anything to live for or purpose or meaning would become so pathetically irrelevant at that point. Do you know what I mean? Like the idea of like even like what is our meaning, like what's our purpose, that those are not going to be questions that we're going to be
Yeah.
asking anymore. Like your brain is operating at such high capacity that even looking for a purpose is just going to be looked at these inferior carbon based humans that we were. These questions would be looked at like we're going to be looking at any entity that asks those questions the way we right now look at cockroaches, right?
Mm.
You're not going to have any problem finding purposes to live when, like, imagine the most joy that you experienced in your life, the maximum amount of joy experienced in your life at one time in your entire short life that you live, right? Imagine in creating brains that could experience that time 1,000 all the time every second, and it's only increasing. Like, purpose, you would be trying to find ways to, like, the idea of dying, the idea of not existing would become the most terrifying possible thing, because life is going to be so good that not experiencing it would become the most
But
terrifying thing ever.
right, but that I mean, there's problems with that too. Like you're right. Like you first of all, you talk about joy, like how we'd be experiencing joy. It'll probably be in a different way that I can't really imagine right now. But when you do, it's all going to be relative. It's going to be very relative. Like when you experience joy and you have a finite lifespan, that means something very different than when you do it and you're immortal.
Only
So
for your brain, Ellie. It could be not relative.
different yeah, that's, I mean, it could be a whole bunch of different things that people experience that I can't imagine. But this thing about this is the part that actually gets me, is that the risk of dying. What if you die? If you can potentially be immortal, if you are immortal, everybody's immortal, and someone can get killed in a car crash, or they can get
No, but
killed.
that's a different. We already addressed that. This is a different thing. Like
Yeah.
when you say it's relative, right now your mind operates in a way that pleasure is relative, right?
Yeah.
To your, like, for example, me giving you a, I don't know, a chocolate is not going to be the same joy that a starving kid in the middle of, like, in Darfur
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
going to experience. But I'm saying is that this is because the limitations of our carbon based brain. I
Yeah.
think, like, you could be living in a self-made heaven, and never get used to it, because you made your brain, and you program your brain so that you never get used to it. Like, getting used to it is not going to be a problem, because we are programming our brains ourselves at that point.
Yeah.
So you're not going to there's not going to be a diminishing return on joy, because you're going to program your brain so that there is no diminishing
Yeah, I guess
return on
that
joy.
and that's a question. Like if consciousness is like replicable, and if it can actually be done, then the question of even dying in an accident is not such a big deal. But if we are faced with that thing where death is a really, really big thing now because everybody's immortal, then your people won't take risk as much. When you don't take risks, you don't innovate, you don't have new ideas. There's a lot of things that change. I mean, again, this
You
is a
don't
whole
need to
episode.
take risk, because you're safe. What risk would you possibly take?
It depends. If you're able to digitally or virtually replicate consciousness, then yes, you're always safe, right? But
Yeah.
but that's one form of immortality. We're not talking
Oh.
about we're talking about something that where there may be a risk. Like we're talking about an intermediate stage.
Hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.